Let's talk about Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens. We're going to talk about everything that they did in the offseason from the NFL draft, the same with free agency. But I do want to start off with Lamar Jackson first and his career so far in the NFL. As a regular season quarterback, he's one of the best quarterbacks that you can have. He has won 2 league MVPs in his career up to this point. Last season, the man put up video game type of numbers. If we're basing off of numbers alone for the MVP, you could have made the case that he should have won last season. Lamar Jackson had 41 passing touchdowns to 4 interceptions, 4,172 passing yards. So if anyone is saying that he can't pass the football at an elite level, yes, he can. He's done it year in and year out, especially the last 2 to 3 years with Baltimore. And he still had 915 rushing yards, 4 rushing touchdowns. This is the problem with Lamar Jackson. Regular season, he's great. A lot of people compare him to James Harden in the NBA. James Harden, amazing regular season player in basketball. In the postseason, not so much. You heard those numbers that Lamar Jackson can put up in the regular season. You look at his record in the postseason. When it matters the most in the NFL playoffs, he's 3-5. He has produced 13 total touchdowns, passing and rushing, to 11 complete turnovers. That involves fumbles lost and interceptions. That doesn't sound like a star quarterback in the playoffs. And I will say this, early on, he did not have a true number 1 option at the wide receiving position. He did have Mark Andrews, phenomenal tight end in the past. I'm going to have a lot to say about Mark Andrews in the next couple minutes here. But over the last few years, we've seen the Ravens make a lot of changes around Lamar Jackson. They have always been a top rushing team with him. And usually that's going to happen. You look at Justin Fields with the Chicago Bears. They had a top rushing offense with him year in and year out because he's going to use his legs. Majority of the rushing success with the Ravens has been because of Lamar Jackson. Teams, they worry about him running and for the right reasons. And he has developed as a passer within the last few years, especially when you compare him to his rookie season. But Lamar Jackson, he'll still go out there and rush for 700 to 900 rushing yards in a year. We've seen him play with running backs like J.K. Dobbins. He wasn't able to stay fully healthy, and that sucks. The same with Gus Edwards. He was a very good running back. Many people call him Gus the Bus. He was able to go out there and push the power to the next level. But they brought in a star running back, one of the best running backs that you can have in Derrick Henry last season. He comes out, has a phenomenal year. But yet you're still stuck in place. You got past the Steelers in the first round. You blew the doors off the Steelers. You ran them out the building. But when you went against the Buffalo Bills, you weren't able to go out there and run the football at an elite level. A lot of that you could say is Todd Monken. He reverted back to what he was doing early on when they went against Kansas City. And speaking of Kansas City, we've seen Lamar Jackson go against Kansas City with Zay Flowers at the number 1 wide receiving position. Isaiah Likely breaks out as an emerging star at the tight end spot. They lost to Kansas City. But you had a great defensive coordinator and Coach McDonald, who did a very good job in terms of putting pressure on Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, the entire Chiefs team. Lamar Jackson had one of the worst interceptions that you will see for a star quarterback of his caliber. He threw an interception in triple coverage. Zay Flowers had a huge fumble in the red zone. That wasn't on Lamar Jackson. That was on Zay Flowers. Zay Flowers also got a taunting penalty. He gets them deep down the field. He pushes the defensive back right back down. He flexes over him 15 yards back. Situations like that, Lamar Jackson can't control. What he can control are the dumb interceptions and the dumb fumbles. Their best chance up to this point was when they went against Kansas City in the AFC Championship game. You had the best defense in football in terms of passing, in terms of rushing. We haven't seen the Ravens have a defense like that in a very long time with the talent, but yet they couldn't come over the hump with Lamar Jackson. We've seen them switch offensive coordinators. They got rid of Greg Roman. He stepped down. He's now with the Los Angeles Chargers. But that was the first offensive coordinator that Lamar Jackson got to work with. A lot of Raven fans came out, and a lot of people in the national media, they're saying Greg Roman has to go. He's too conservative. They're running the same passing plays over and over again. It's the same slants. It's the same curl patterns. It's the same screens. He's not letting Lamar Jackson go out there and cook with his arm. You bring in Todd Monken from Georgia. He comes out. He's letting Lamar Jackson cook. But yet you're in the same situation. And I'm not trying to come on here and blame all this on Lamar Jackson. When they went against the Buffalo Bills, Mark Andrews had 2 terrible drops. A huge drop in the middle of the field. And he also had a terrible drop with the 2-point conversion attempt. They get the 2-point conversion attempt. Maybe the game goes into overtime. Maybe the Ravens win. Or maybe Josh Allen goes out there. He puts the team in field goal range and they walk off the field. We'll never know because Mark Andrews dropped the football. Wins and losses, they don't always come down to the quarterbacks. But the way that quarterbacks are being graded right now, a lot of people they're going to always have the energy for Lamar that he can't step up in the postseason. I've seen him have great games against teams like the Titans, the same against the Steelers in the playoffs. But he needs to do this against teams like the Kansas City Chiefs, like the Buffalo Bills in the postseason. In the regular season, he can beat the brakes off the Bills. We've seen him do this last year. We've seen them beat Kansas City in the regular season. But they're just a couple plays away in the postseason. They're just a couple plays away in certain games in the regular season. And they've had a huge problem in the past letting teams come back and beat them when they have a huge deficit. So if you continue to change the players around Lamar Jackson, you change the offensive coordinator position, it's just a matter of time before people come out and they look at Coach Harbaugh and they're going to say, hey, you're the problem. Even though this man has helped construct this roster, he's helped develop Lamar Jackson. He's helped develop a great culture with the Ravens. He's been one of the best head coaches that you can have. But that is going to be the next person to blame. I can promise you guys right now, if the Ravens don't go out there and make a deep playoff run this year or even win a Super Bowl, a lot of people are going to be looking at Coach Harbaugh and they're going to be saying, hey, year in and year out, we can't win. We have this generational talent at the quarterback position. We're not going to get rid of him. We gave him a massive contract extension a few years back. We may have to get rid of you. And I hope that it doesn't come down to that standpoint. I just want to see Lamar Jackson go out there and win one Super Bowl. That's all that it takes. But MVPs here, they don't matter to him anymore. And he said this. He's won 2 of them. I know a lot of Ravens fans that were pissed off when Josh Allen won the MVP. Look, I understand. But he has bigger fish to fry. And the same with Joe Burrow and the same with Josh Allen. All 3 of these quarterbacks, Lamar, Josh Allen, and Joe Burrow, they need to go out there and they need to submit their legacy and they need to win a Super Bowl. Because you look at Patrick Mahomes right now, year in and year out, many people point at him and they say that he's the gold standard of the NFL, especially in the AFC. But the talent that these players have, they have to step up in the playoffs. And I know if you're a Ravens fan, Lamar Jackson, he's never played with elite talent on the outside like T. Higgins and Jamar Chase. I hear you. I understand. He hasn't, but he has played with great players before, and he's playing with great players right now. Now, when I look at the current roster that the Ravens have, in my opinion, yes, I'm going for it again, they're going to be a Super Bowl contender. And they're my favorite to go out there and win this division, even if they are dealing with slight injuries. I look at the Steelers right now. Mason Rudolph is scheduled to be their starting quarterback. They're still waiting on Aaron Rodgers. That's a completely different video. That's a completely different situation. But I have them over the Steelers right here. And yes, they lost to the Steelers in the regular season. They split with them. But that game was not on Lamar Jackson. If you go back and you watch that matchup, Derrick Henry had a fumble in that game. Lamar Jackson throws a complete dime to Justice Hill. Here comes Peyton Wilson, snatches the football out of his hand. It goes for an interception. Lamar Jackson played a pretty clean game, and yet they still lost because of bad play calling, bad offensive line protection, and the simple fact they couldn't go out there and they couldn't outscore a team that didn't score a touchdown. That's embarrassing. But the rematch in the regular season, they beat the Steelers, and they beat them when it mattered the most in the postseason. The offensive line, they have one of the best lines that you can have in football, especially in run protection and run blocking. You look at Derrick Henry and his numbers last season, one of the best running backs in football. This is why you brought him in, was to go out there and help out Lamar Jackson. I'm going to say this now. Most weeks, don't be afraid to give Derrick Henry 25 to 30 carries. He had 325 carries last season. That was the second most in the NFL. 1,921 rushing yards, second most in the NFL. 16 rushing touchdowns. That was tied for first. He averaged 6 yards a carry. Run the football as much as possible with him, especially in the postseason if you're Todd Monken, to shut those people up. You also have Keaton Mitchell. Now, a couple of years ago against the Los Angeles Chargers, he tore his ACL. Last season, he didn't look too good. Now, he was coming off that torn ACL injury. He is a speed back. He can be that change of pace back that you're looking for outside of Derrick Henry. Now, don't get it twisted. Derrick Henry has a lot of speed to be a big bruiser back in football. He can go out there. He can make moves in space. He's just known for his power. But you look at Keaton Mitchell. You can give him a play to the outside. He could take to the house for 30 to 50 yards. That's the type of explosive ability that he's had in the past. Hopefully he can he can regain some of that speed coming off that ACL injury. You have Justice Hill. He's a solid backup running back. He can catch the football at the backfield. He's just a very good running back to have behind Derrick Henry. I looked at wide receiving position. Zay Flowers, he did not play in that Buffalo Bills game. A lot of people like to forget that. He's a huge portion of their offense. He hurt his knee against the Cleveland Browns. He's a phenomenal player in terms of being a deep threat, and he is shifty as hell. And I still feel like he has a lot of developing to do. Not to say that he's a bad player right now. He just hasn't scratched the surface of how good he can be. We've seen him go out there and win one-on-one catches against taller cornerbacks, and he's physical at the line of scrimmage. You're not just going to press up on Zay Flowers and get away with it. He's a phenomenal player. He's like a human joystick come to life. You have Rashard Bateman. He's a very good wide receiver too. Injuries have derailed his career, especially the first 2 years. I feel like he is who he is at this point of his career. He'll go out there. He'll give you 500 receiving yards. He may give you 7 to 8 receiving touchdowns. That's who he is. He's not a bad player. He did have 756 receiving yards last season, 9 receiving touchdowns, but he's not going to go out there and be that true number one every single week. And he did that on 46 catches. You can give him more volume, but I worry about his health long term. And I just worry about him being a consistent wide receiver from week to week going against elite coverage. As long as he's your number 2, that's a great situation. You have him pair alongside Zay Flowers. DeAndre Hopkins here. DeAndre Hopkins is listed as wide receiver number 3. DeAndre Hopkins should be the number 4 to number 5 target with the Ravens. I mean this in the most respectful way possible. He's not the same DeAndre Hopkins. He's not going to go out there and win those one-on-one opportunities over and over again. And he regressed on the back half of last season with Kansas City. He has some big-time moments, but he's definitely not the same guy that played with the Arizona Cardinals. And he's for damn sure not the same guy that played with the Houston Texans many years ago. Can he turn the clock back? Maybe. Maybe he can prove me wrong. But I look at DeAndre Hopkins. He struggled against press coverage last season. And he dropped a lot of passes to where he was wide open, especially in the Super Bowl. And that's just the one bad play a lot of people point at. He's not a bad wide receiver, but I'm not going to put a lot of trust in him long term to come in and break out and to be a consistent target every single week. Even for Kansas City, he's playing in that great system. He was not a consistent wide receiver that they ran plays through every single week. He's getting older. The man is 32 years old. 610 receiving yards last season, 5 receiving touchdowns. But as a number 4 to number 5 target in this system with the Ravens, he should fit very nicely. The reason why I said the number 4 to number 5 target, you still have Mark Andrews. You still have Isaiah Likely. A lot of Raven fans had a lot of pent-up aggression against Mark Andrews when he dropped that football against the Buffalo Bills. A lot of Raven fans, they want him going. He is still in a murky spot right now. For this simple standpoint, the general manager, he hasn't come out and he hasn't said that Mark Andrews is going to for sure be our tight end moving forward. He's been non-committal towards him so far. I do expect for him to come back and play one more season with Baltimore, but they should be ready to phase him out. When he suffered that injury, Isaiah Likely came in and he became a very good receiving tight end. And Mark Andrews still had 11 receiving touchdowns, 673 receiving yards. Isaiah Likely was able to come in and be that change of pace tight end. He's more so of a wide receiver in a tight end's body, 477 receiving yards, 6 receiving touchdowns. Keep these two together for one more season and make one last Super Bowl push with Mark Andrews. I'm not going to come on here and be like a lot of people. Football is tough. Sports in general are tough. When you have one bad play, that does not erase everything that you have done for the organization. And Mark Andrews has been one of the best tight ends in the NFL for a very long time. You can say that he's on the back end of his tenure with Baltimore. That's fine. But I'm not going to come on here and crush him for dropping that football against the Buffalo Bills. It was a bad play for sure, but it happens. He said he beat himself up for a couple weeks there. He really wished he would have caught the football. It is what it is. He needs to move on from it. And I feel like a lot of Raven fans in general, this may sound messed up. They need to move on from it as well. You can't go back in time and you can't change it. If you want to see what you can get from Mark Andrews, sure. You're not going to get a high draft pick for him, but he is still valuable on this team, especially in the red zone situations. And he has that chemistry with Lamar Jackson. And Lamar Jackson, he took up for him. I look at that play. It was a bad play, but that game should have never came down to that one play on Mark Andrews. And I know some of the best players of all time, they step up in big time moments, but they've also had some terrible moments. Look at Peyton Manning. Look at Tom Brady. They're greats, but they've also had bad moments. It happens, and I'm rooting for Mark Andrews to step up next season and mix that thing in with Isaiah Likely. This is a complete offense. Lamar Jackson may not have top-end wide receivers like Jamar Chase, like T. Higgins, but he has a lot of weapons and he has a lot of depth on this offense. And shout out to the general manager for finding these players, getting them in free agency and drafting them, because it's hard as hell to find a number one wide receiver, especially on the trade market, and the same in free agency when you have a run-heavy team. The best wide receivers, they don't want to play for a team that runs the football 35 to 40 times in the game. They want to get the football as much as possible. This is why you get a lot of wide receivers in the back end of their career, like Odell Beckham. The same with DeAndre Hopkins. They're just trying to win a Super Bowl at this point in time in their career. Early on, they want to get the big time numbers. But you have more than enough weapons on the offensive end for Lamar Jackson to get over the hump. And you did draft LeJohntay Wester, who is a very good speed wide receiver out of Colorado. Don't sleep on him. He could come in within the next few years. He could be a top deep threat with Baltimore. But just to put the offense to bed here, Lamar needs to be better in the postseason. And this is coming from a huge Lamar Jackson fan. But I expect for them to be better for this upcoming season than they were last year. And the reason why I say this, their defense last year had a top rushing defense. Their rushing defense has been phenomenal for the last 2 years, but their passing defense was awful from weeks 1 through week 10. They allowed 295 passing yards a game. That was 32nd in the NFL. But from week 11 to the end of the regular season, even against the Steelers in the NFL playoffs and against the Buffalo Bills, they only allowed 171 passing yards a game. That was first in the NFL. I think that's who they are. I think they are a very good passing defense bunch. It just came down to adjustments by Zach Orr, their brand new defensive coordinator, who stepped in last season for Coach McDonald. And the simple fact, he had a lot of miscommunication on the back end. Kyle Hamilton, one of the best versatile pieces that you can have in the back end of your defense. You can just hear him on the TV yelling at players. He's pointing them out saying, hey, go down here, go back here. You didn't see much of that with Coach McDonald. He already had those guys on the same wavelength going into the game. And it happens when you bring in a brand new defensive coordinator. The miscommunication killed them. Even against the Steelers, it was a situation. George Pickens, he gets wide open. The safety pulls down to say he was supposed to be up. It's cover one. He slides down. Now no one else is over top. George Pickens is wide open. It goes for a touchdown. You can't have moments like that. Moments like that will get you beat week in and week out in the NFL. But you have Kyle Hamilton, like I mentioned before. He's a versatile player. You can play him at the cornerback position. You can play him at outside corner. I wouldn't do that personally, but that's just the versatility that he has. They played him at dime linebacker, at slot corner. He's just a phenomenal player. But in the first round, you drafted Malachi Starks from Georgia. It's a definition of the rich getting richer. Now you have two safeties that are versatile as hell on the back end of your defense. I would not be surprised if they're the best safety duo in the NFL for this upcoming season. They're both great against the run. They're great tacklers. They're great in coverage. Malachi Starks did so many good things for Georgia last season. It's not funny. And I'm surprised that he slid that late in the NFL draft in the first round. That's a phenomenal player. And I expect for their passing defense to be the best in the NFL next season. That's my expectation with the Ravens, with having both of those safeties, and with Zachary Orr being a very good linebacker with his tenure with the Ravens. He's already a very good defensive mind. We saw the gap responsibilities against the run. We saw him rotate safeties over late in the season. He got more comfortable coaching up secondary players than he was in the first half of the season. Carry that over to next year. And the fact that you were still a top tier team and you were 32nd in passing defense for majority of the year says a lot about the talent with Baltimore. You have Nate Wiggins. I expect for him to have a breakout season next year. He was very good in his rookie year with Baltimore. Chidobe Awuzie, you sign him as a free agent. He's a very good veteran cornerback to have. He's played some years with the Dallas Cowboys. I think that he could come in. He could be a very good cornerback, especially in those short yardage situations. It got so bad last season for the Ravens, their passing defense, and I'm not exaggerating here. They brought in Tre'Davious White. And Tre'Davious White is definitely in the back end of his career. Since he tore his ACL and he tore his Achilles, he hasn't been the same corner. But they brought him in to just help stop wide receivers like George Pickens in short yardage situations. And hey, give him his credit. It worked out. They'll play him on third down, then they'll take him right out of the game. But it worked out. Simple adjustments by Zachary Orr worked out for you. Hopefully, they don't have to run to that situation for this upcoming year. And you look at the nickel cornerback position, you have Marlon Humphrey. He was the most productive corner that they had last year. Put up very good numbers, 6 interceptions, 15 pass deflections, 2 forced fumbles, 50 solo tackles. This is a very good defensive unit in their secondary. As far as their pass rush situation, it's been weird. When you look at teams in this division, the Bengals, they have Trey Hendrickson. He's dealing with a contract situation right now. He may play for the Bengals this upcoming season. He may not. We'll see. He's a go-to pass rusher, one of the best pass rushers in the league. The Cleveland Browns, they have Myles Garrett, one of the best pass rushers in the league. TJ Watt, the Steelers, one of the best pass rushers in the league. The Ravens, they haven't had that go-to guy. You know, you bring in Jadeveon Clowney a couple of years ago. He comes in 9.5 sacks, gives you good production. Okay, but we know what Jadeveon Clowney is. He was more so of a system player in that system with Coach McDonald. You have good pass rushers, but you don't have a pass rusher that you can just say, hey, get to the quarterback. We don't have to scheme you up. Just beat that tackle off the edge and we'll be okay. You have Oweh. He was able to come in last year, 10 sacks, 1 forced fumble. It's a good situation. Calvin Noy was able to turn the clock back. He had 12.5 sacks, 2 forced fumbles. That was the 4th most in the NFL. He's 34 years old. I'm talking about a young pass rusher that you can consistently go to on a year in and year out basis. It's not a guarantee that Kyle Van Noy will come back next season and he'll give you 12.5 sacks. I think that he can, but it's not a guarantee due to his age. But I look at what you did in the 2nd round. You drafted Mike Green out of Marshall. This man had 17 sacks his last year with Marshall. He should have been a 1st-round pick. Now, the reason why he wasn't a 1st-round pick, a lot of nasty things came out a couple weeks before the NFL draft involving situations similar to Deshaun Watson, and the same with Justin Tucker. If you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. There's a lot of abuse cases with him. He denied the cases. Hopefully that is the case for him. He can come in immediately and he can be that franchise pass rusher. You just got 2 phenomenal players back to back, and Malachi Starks from Georgia in the 1st round, Mike Green in the 2nd round. That's franchise setting right there if both of those players can pan out. Now look at Mike Green. I don't know if he's going to be a locker room cancer. He got a lot of great reports from his coaches at Marshall. And even the people near him, they're saying, hey, he's not this type of person. I hope that's the case. He has all world potential. He just has to stay out of his way. I hate to see anyone in situations like that. The same with Deshaun, the same with Justin Tucker, because a lot of this crap is avoidable. Let's just be real here. If you don't put yourself in that situation, it shouldn't happen. And if the stuff that comes out with Justin Tucker, those allegations and the stuff with Deshaun Watson, Mike Green, if it's all true, it's no place for them in football. That's how I feel about it. And I look at Justin Tucker last season. Even before the allegations came out with him going to the massage parlor similar to Deshaun Watson, he was going to get cut regardless. This man was terrible for the 1st half of the season. He cost them many football games against the Steelers, against the Las Vegas Raiders. I don't know what the hell was going on with Justin Tucker. He may go down as the best kicker of all time, but it was time for the Ravens to move on. It's going to be weird to see them bring in a brand new kicker because Justin Tucker, more than likely, he's not going to play for another NFL team, and he had a great career. When it's time to put him into the Hall of Fame, he'll get into the Hall of Fame, but they also moved on from him. But back to the defense here. You have Mike Green. He could come in, mix in with Oweh, mix in with Calvin Noy. That's a very good pass rushing trio right there that you have. You have Adisa Isaac. I don't see the big upside with Adisa Isaac. I think that he could be a very good player, but the way that certain scouts are saying, they make it seem like this man could be the next pass rusher that can get you 12 to 15 sacks in a year. I don't see that. But if he can give them 5 to 8 sacks in a year and he could be a rotational pass rusher, that's very good for him in his career, and it'll give the Ravens a lot of depth that they need. And he's still a young player. He can pan out. He can prove me wrong. He may come out next season. He may be one of the best pass rushers on this roster. I hope that's the case for Adisa Isaac. You have David Ojabo. Unfortunately, since he tore his Achilles, he hasn't broke out as being a star pass rusher, but he's had a couple good moments here and there, especially against Kansas City. 1st game in the regular season, he was able to go out there and give you some good production. He just needs to be more consistent. And I look at David Ojabo, he's more so of a rotational pass rusher anyway. You have Matabuke, elite run stopper, can get to the quarterback in certain situations. They have talent across the board, from the quarterback position, wide receiver, running back, offensive line, wherever. They have great players. And I haven't even talked about the linebacking room here just yet. You have Roquan Smith, one of the best interior linebackers in the NFL. You can make the case that he is the best interior linebacker to have in football. That was a phenomenal trade that they made a few years ago, and they gave him a major contract extension. Just a solid player, great against the run. Part of the reason why they have a great rushing defense, since he stepped over to the Ravens, is because of him. He helped elevate the game with Patrick Queen. That is how phenomenal of a talent that he is. And Patrick Queen, he's now with the Steelers. And I look at the player that they have alongside him, Trent Simpson. He was a great player at Clemson. I think that this upcoming season is going to be a breakout year for him as well. So there's a lot of talent here with the Ravens. They just need to continue to get to the postseason, wear teams down with Derrick Henry, wear teams down with Lamar Jackson, run that football still against Kansas City, against the Buffalo Bills. You can compete with those teams on a consistent basis in the regular season, but it's just the little plays. And I know as a Ravens fan, it has to be annoying as hell. A lot of the postseason games that you run into, it comes down to dumb penalties like Zay Flowers. 15-yard penalty against Kansas City, a dumb fumble, a 2-point conversion play that gets dropped, Lamar Jackson having his terrible turnovers. But if you can go out there and lock in and you can derail some of those mistakes early on, hell, don't make those mistakes early on. You can eventually go out there and get to the promised land and win a Super Bowl. But right now, when I look at Baltimore, you've been knocking on the door for so long now, for so many years. Eventually, you either fade out or you bust through that door. And I think this upcoming season, it's the best chance for everyone involved. Lamar, Coach Harbaugh, Todd Monken, Zachary Orr, the defensive coordinator. But let me know in the comment section below, how do you feel about the Baltimore Ravens? And how do you feel about their free agency and their NFL draft class? If you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button. If you like the video, hit the like button. Most importantly, want each and every last one of you guys stay safe, stay positive. Thanks for the video, guys.